This is Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. Always enjoy having Sheila Kuehl on our program. She is a supervisor for Los Angeles County. And Supervisor, I have to say, these are the best of times and the worst of times.
I agree, Brad.
Yeah, right.
I think we have some really deep issues, but also we're making some enormous strides.
And let's talk about some of those deep issues. And I want to focus at first on homelessness.
Sure.
What's most impactful about the homeless crisis in our county is that we are seeing homeless neighbors everywhere. Mm-hmm. It's not just on Skid Row, it's in West Los Angeles, it's in the San Fernando Valley, it's in your district,
right?
Which normally we wouldn't see that. What are you seeing?
Well, I think the interesting thing is everybody says, what's the county doing about this? What's the city doing about this? And it's almost like we're having to solve a problem that we have no power over, because the things that cause homelessness are not within the purview of the county or the city. Rising rents,
right.
The fact that you can't keep rent control in between vacancies,
right.
You can convert to condominiums. So
and you
the affordable housing shrinks and shrinks and shrinks.
And when you mention rents, I was stunned when I learned that there are vouchers for those that may be homeless, but the vouchers aren't worth enough because of the rising rent. So there are landlords that are interested in Section 8 or otherwise, but it doesn't cover their
costs.
It's
the federal government and to some extent the state government. What the county is doing is augmenting those vouchers, having meetings for landlords to ask them to please, consider
right.
that we also provide the kind of services that will help them have a good relationship with the tenants and make the tenants, the same. Mm-hmm. We do first month's rent for some of them. We do the move-in costs for some of them. It actually is better for landlords, but there is no way that we can house 47,000 homeless people even in the next year. And we can build housing, mm-hmm. the cities build housing, the counties provide wraparound services. We've guaranteed that we will do services for every unit built for homeless people. We're doing focuses on veterans, on families, on women, because we've seen the study that shows that there's a huge growth.
Can we talk about women?
Please.
Because that is a population that I have rarely seen populate homeless encampments, homeless Skid Row areas. But now we know that in Los Angeles County, 1/3 of the homeless are women, and a significant number of them are over 50.
Well, and also formerly victims of domestic violence and sexual assault, and they're being reassaulted on the street because it's not safe for women to, if they can do a pop-up tent in a whole group. I mean, we've got a couple of places in the valley where it's all women because they want to try to protect each other.
And with those pop-up tents, I read in the Los Angeles Times that they're being sliced open by predatory men who are then assaulting women who many had been assaulted as children.
So we see the problem.
Right.
But the answer is housing. The answer is housing. It's housing, housing, housing. And we cannot get private developers to even do affordable housing. They'll kind of like, oh, well, in order to get a permit, we'll do 5%. But what they call affordable is sort of the mean rent for the area. And in LA, that doesn't help. So what the county is doing is collaborating with all of our cities to build, rehab, do master leases, as much housing as we possibly can. We're putting in $10 million, last year, $20 million this year to build affordable housing, in addition to the $150 million the county is doing on homeless housing and services. So we're trying to keep up, but it's like drinking from a fire hose.
Right. You mentioned veterans earlier, and that population is one where the news is actually better in terms of decreasing their homeless size. Why is it in your mind?
Well, we focused on them. I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt
you,
please. But I mean, 10 minutes is never enough to talk about everything.
No, but that's important.
We focused on veterans and families. We opened a whole set of family service centers in the county specifically to find housing for families with services, because that's hard. Landlords say, well, I'm not going to give you a 2-bedroom apartment. And the same with veterans. We've teamed up with the VA, but other nonprofit services that serve veterans. specifically to find housing, and that's how you do it. You focus. Our new focus is on women, and we're trying to, you can't really discriminate in housing. You can discriminate for veterans, you can't really discriminate on the basis of gender.
But let me ask you, because the success story is so palpable in the veteran space, what has the county, what have you learned that we can now take and apply that to the general population? Women, men, families, whatever it may be.
Well, what we've learned is when you focus your attention on a specific part of the homeless population, and you try to get partners to work with you, the veteran services, for instance, veteran services on campus, et cetera, then you give a priority. I mean, we built a whole new set of housing for homeless folks in the valley with the collaboration of the neighbors. It's beautiful, has gardens, we've done our best, but we said, okay, we want 50% of this to be for veterans and 50% for families. So you move your veterans in and it takes them off the street. It's hard to do with the entire population because you can't prioritize anything over anything else. But we are moving on trying to prioritize women, especially those with children, but not only.
I want to ask about the Sheriff's Department in Los Angeles County. What's unique about our sheriff vis-a-vis other states is that our sheriff is directly elected.
Right.
And so the Board of Supervisors, its authority over the sheriff is questionable at best, I guess one could say. But the new sheriff has agreed that a citizens oversight panel would be appropriate. Is that fair?
Well, he didn't have to agree. We are one of the first counties to establish the kind of oversight commission over the sheriff's department that cities do over their police department, like the LA Police Commission.
Right.
But cities run their police departments.
Exactly.
They hire their police chiefs. So we had to enter into a memoranda of agreement with the sheriff that he would turn over all the information we requested so long as we kept the secure files secure,
right,
and the personnel files secret, which actually the California Constitution requires. So we have just constituted the panel, the oversight panel.
Right.
We're very proud of it. It's 9 people that will be the Oversight Commission for the Sheriff's Department, and they're going to be stringent. They're going to be having hearings. They're going to be making recommendations to us, and we do run his budget.
And that's really the key point, is that to the extent that you do have sway, power, or influence over the sheriff, it is through the budget, through fiscal matters.
It is true, but I'd have to say with Jim McDonald, we're fortunate. He actually wants a clean department. He doesn't want overuse of force. He's very serious about getting rid of deputies that falsify files. He's asked our help with the Civil Service Commission in doing that. I think that we're on the same page. And the 9 people that we chose, I think they're certainly not anyway in favor of the Sheriff's Department or against the Sheriff's Department. They're just, going to look into everything.
In our final moments, exciting news out of the Ford Theater. What can you tell us?
Well, we got a new interim executive director of the Ford Theater. We've just put millions of dollars into refurbishing it. We had the best season we've ever had. It was our reopening season this summer. We're going to reopen again, May 1st. It's a fabulous 1,200-seat amphitheater, a jewel in LA.
It is.
And now we're going to kick the programming up a little bit. So Olga Garay English is our new interim executive director. She's very experienced in doing programming and doing festivals, in running theaters, in culture in LA. She's going to be great.
We'll have you back. She is Sheila Kuehl, Supervisor of LA County. I'm Brad Pomerance. It's Charter Local Edition.